If you are looking for ways to get your craft room under control and organized, this is the video for you. I'm going to show you how to organize your crafty supplies, no matter what type they are, in a way that your room can look like this all the time. My two things are I pick up at the end of every day and I have a home for everything. I know that sometimes it can take a while to get a system that really works, and that's what you want to do, is find a system that works well for you. I'm going to show you all my tips and tricks for creating an organized space within the area that you have. The key here is to not have more stuff than you have room to keep it all in, okay? So this might involve some purging, but purging is good from time to time. We all need to do it. We all need to go through our things, because especially as creatives, we tend to hold on to things because we just might use it sometime down the road. Now, if you come across something when you're purging and you're like, I haven't thought about this, looked at this, I didn't even realize I still had it, in like 6 months, in the last 6 months to a year, and you do not foresee yourself using it, put that in the donate pile. There are tons of organizations that love to get craft supplies, schools, nursing homes, just to name a couple off the top of my head. They will welcome your gently used supplies because they will put them to good use. So keep that in mind, as you can donate these things to other people that will use them. So you're not just getting rid of things. If it no longer serves you, put it in that donate pile. So that is the first step, especially if you have like a big old mess and you're like, I don't even know where to start. Okay, you want to just start somewhere. Pick a corner, pick a spot. Say, today I'm going to go through my fabric. I'm going to gather all of my fabric. I'm going to put it into one area and I'm going to go through it. And I'm going to get rid of the fabric I don't think I will ever sew with. It doesn't bring me joy anymore. I no longer love this. And I'm going to put it in this pile. But these are the fabrics that I still love. Then you can go forward. You've made your donate pile, and when you make that pile, put it in a bag and go put it in your car. Don't let it pile up in your space, because it's taking up valuable real estate, and it's kind of messing with your brain a little bit as far as how much room do you have? You feel, because it adds to the clutter, and you need to get that clutter out, and you need to have fresh space, fresh brain space as well. So remove that clutter as quickly as you can, whether it's moving it to a different room, putting it in a bag, putting it in your car, whatever it might be. If you know you're going to donate it, just out of sight, out of mind, just get rid of it right away. Then you can go back to the things that you are keeping and you're going to use, and figure out how you're going to organize those. So I'm going to break this up into a series, and I'm going to take you through step by step on what you need to do to get your craft room, whether it's sewing, quilting, paper crafts, you name it. It doesn't matter what your creative medium is, but if you have a creative space that you want to get under control and organized and clean it up so you feel like you can walk into this space at any given moment and be like, oh, I can just create in here instead of looking at the mess. Keep in mind, and for me personally, having a messy space does contribute to anxiety for me. Like, I don't function well in a mess, but some people thrive in it. So you do you. And remember, there's no judgment here. I'm going to show you what's working for me, because so many people have said, I really need help with this and I don't know where to start. So let's get started. Part one is having a home for everything. And sometimes that is easier said than done, but I am here to tell you, I mean, years and years ago, before I figured out how I really wanted to organize and utilize the space that I had, my gosh, you guys, I had stuff everywhere. And when I finally decided I needed to make this better, because I was buying multiples of the same item, multiples of the same fabric yardage, because I forgot that I had it, because things, it's true, out of sight, out of mind. If you put it away, you're not going to remember. So it needs to be visual. So you need to see and be able to identify what you have and see it all the time. That is why I love having a home for everything, because then I can see it, I know where it lives, and it keeps me from buying multiples of things, and it's easy to clean up at the end of each day because I know where everything is going to go. So you want to identify these areas, whatever that looks like for you in your space that you have. And before we really dive into this, I want to tell you, when I started sewing and creating and doing all that I do, you guys, I started in a closet. So don't look at my great big space here and be like, yeah, but you have a huge space. You have room for everything. I didn't. I didn't always have this space. I started in a closet. I had a space at a kitchen table. I've been through all of that until I got to have this type of space. And what I want to tell you is just figure out where your space is. Okay, so maybe it is the kitchen table. Figure out your home for everything at the kitchen table. What does that look like? Maybe it's a mobile cart where you can put things on the cart, you can wheel the cart in and out of your space as you need to use it, but you still are creating a home for all of the things that you currently have. And it doesn't matter if you have 10 things or 100 things. Just create the home. And where does it always live? Where does it go when you're done using it? So that you're more apt to take it out when you want to use it. It's easy to put away when you're done. And if you have a mobile cart for everything, you can wheel it out, wheel it back, whatever works best for you and the space that you do have. So don't get hung up on my space here, because these tips will work for any space no matter where you're at. You just have to get a little bit creative with the space that you do have. And if you're carving out a little nook in your kitchen and you're dedicating, this is my craft space, this is the space I have, or maybe it's a spare bedroom, or maybe it's a closet that is just sitting right now full of junk. That's what I did once. I looked at this closet and I'm like, my kids were little. They all had their own bedrooms. I really had no craft room. I had no space for a craft room. So I looked at this closet. I'm like, we don't utilize this closet. It was full of junk. It was full of clothes that my kids had outgrown. It was just full of stuff. So I cleaned out that closet, donated a bunch of the stuff, and made better use of that as my space. Took the doors off the closet, put a desk inside, utilized the shelves to hold my things, put a pegboard up on the wall to hang my tools. I utilized this tiny little space, but I made it work. And there's so many ways that you can make whatever space you have available to you in your home work for you. And so I'm hoping that this video is going to help you with all of that. Okay, so finding a home for everything. What does that mean? What does that look like? Well, it all depends on the size of your space and what you have. But once you dedicate the home for everything, then when I'm done with my scissors, they go back right here. When I am done with my rotary cutter, my rulers, all of the things. I fold my fabric back up, I throw the scraps away, whatever that means for you. The other thing I'm a huge fan of is clear bins. Oh my gosh, I will never go back to keeping things in cardboard boxes, keeping things in solid totes, because you can't see what's in it. So how can you organize and know what you have if you can't see it? Again, out of sight, out of mind, and you don't want to do that. So get some clear bins. And there are so many places now where you can get inexpensive clear bins. Check the dollar stores, check Target, Walmart. Amazon has so many good clear bins, Home Goods, TJ Maxx, places like that where you can go get some things that are going to work for the space that you have. Let's talk about clear bins. They are one of my favorite storage solutions for everything. All my fabric is in here. I can clearly see this is Valentine's Day fabric. I can see what's inside. It all fits nice and neat, and it fits on the shelf that I have to put this in. That's another thing that you want to do is purchase things that are going to fit your space, and purchase things that are going to utilize that little bit of space that you have. Forever, I had this big, those big cubbies that you can get that are like the 12 by 12 cubes, and then you put something like this in the cubby, and then you've got all this dead space up above. Well, if those cubbies are all that you have, then you need to get better things to utilize in the cubby space. Not one big deep bin, but maybe you get a set of bins that stack so you can utilize all of that space. That is one thing I see people doing all the time, is they're not utilizing all of the space that they have. So maybe you need to get clear bins that fit in there that stack. They make stackable drawers now that you can get. I've seen those at Target. I've seen those at Home Goods. All kinds of different stacking systems that help you utilize the space that you have. Okay, so for example, in this cabinet here, I've got all of these clear bins. These all came from Target. They're the Bright Room. I'll link them below for you. But these stack on top of each other. So while if I only had bought one, I would be wasting all of this upper space. But because these stack, and these are a great size. These are actually my favorite size bin for fabric storage because I can put in here like certain projects that I might be working on. They're clear, you can see through them, and they stack on top of each other. So they're easy to get to. I'm utilizing the majority of my space in here and I can see what's what. And it looks, you know, it's a little messy. It's not perfect, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just need to create a system that works well for you and the space that you have available to you. Here's another example of something different that I did. This shelf itself here is from Home Depot, and it's a shoe organizer. But I utilized it for my fabric because of the height, the distance we have here. This worked so much better for me than those cubbies because they were taking up there was just so much dead space. So using something like a shoe rack is going to be beneficial. And again, clear bins. And here in this cabinet, I got, you guessed it, more clear bins, stackable drawers. Again, these are from Home Goods. I can easily see that this is all of my vinyl storage. I need to do some cleanup here, but this is all of my zippers and, strapping for bag making, but this is my bag making supply cabinet. This is my home for these items, and they're all together. So that is a home for everything, and I'm using the clear bins to keep all of these organized inside. Clear bins are also how I store all of my buttons. I love to store them by color so that I can see exactly what I have, where they are, and when I need to use them, I just grab the color, and I'm not digging through jars and jars full of buttons trying to find exactly the color that I need. I will also utilize things like just canning jars. This is just extra ribbon. It's kind of more for decoration, but also I've organized it by color. So if I'm doing something and I need a piece of pink ribbon, again, I go right to the pink jar, whatever color it is that I might need, but I can easily see what I have, where it's at, and it doesn't have to be a container made for the craft that you're doing. That's what we're gonna do. That's step one of this series of creating your own space and organizing whatever that space looks like for you. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. I'm gonna link some of the products that I shared with you from Target and things. I'll link what I can in the description. Make sure you subscribe because I've got more videos on this topic coming your way. You guys have spoken, you've been asking for this for a really long time. So I wanna help you get your space organized, get your space neat, whatever that space looks like. It doesn't matter. Just create that space for you because you deserve the space and then the time to make things and do the things that bring you joy. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this video and be sure to watch this next one.